Everyone in the politics world is talking about Boris Johnson again. Yes. So although he may not be the Prime Minister anymore, he's still making headlines. Here's why. Days as busy and dramatic as this don't come round very often here in Westminster, the part of London where the government works and politicians make decisions. To understand what's been happening, we have to go back to 2020, during the coronavirus pandemic. Boris Johnson was the UK's Prime Minister and told all of us to stay inside and distance ourselves from each other to help stop the spread of the virus.
To stay at home, protect our NHS, and save lives.
We were all told to not mix, but people at Downing Street, where the Prime Minister lives and works, did. They held parties at different points throughout the lockdowns, but this new report isn't about the details of that. Instead, it's about whether Boris Johnson told the truth to MPs during an important investigation into what happened. The report says he deliberately misled the House. That's language that politicians use, but in effect, it says that Boris Johnson deliberately lied to Parliament. Boris Johnson has admitted that he did mislead MPs, but says it was not intentional. As well as this, the report says Mr. Johnson was involved in and didn't try to stop attempts to intimidate and abuse the group of politicians that were carrying out the inquiry. Nothing like this has ever happened before. No other Prime Minister in the history of the UK has ever been found to have deliberately misled Parliament. The report said that Boris Johnson was in contempt, that he stopped Parliament from doing its job properly. Boris Johnson has very strongly disagreed with the findings of the report. He said that the finding that he had deliberately misled Parliament was rubbish and a lie. He's already stood down as an MP, so some of the punishments recommended by the MPs who wrote the report won't take place. But it's hard to find an example of another Prime Minister who has ever been criticised in this way over something so important: telling the truth. So, what happens next? Well, all the MPs who sit here, they'll have a chance to discuss the report in Parliament on Monday, and then they'll have a vote on whether they agree with it or not. Now, in Boris Johnson's resignation letter, he said that he was very sad to be leaving Parliament, at least for now. So that leaves open the possibility that he could return. And you have to remember that it was only 3 years ago that he helped to win a massive majority for the Conservative Party. But if his plan is to return back to politics, then the news from this report could make it quite difficult.